Welcome to another video, and today I'm going to talk more about what I had planned for my 2022 races and goals. As you can see, I've already written on the whiteboard here what are the races that I'm planning on doing next year, kind of a little bit of a rationale behind why I'm doing these races or what came into the planning for these. What category am I going to give them? Which I'm going to say A is a very high priority, all the way down to a C or even a D, meaning I'm just doing it for the experience and just to say I've done it. And then on the left side here, I'm going to write down what are some of the goals that I have in mind going into 2022. And these are things within triathlon as well as outside of triathlon that I'm looking at. There may be more on here than what I've not listed on. But just to give an overview, and I'll shift more of my attention to more the triathlon side of the business, or really just endurance sport in general. So with that, let's get into it. So to start off with, I'm going to start my season with Oceanside 70.3. I really loved that course, and I kind of, as soon as I was on the bike, I kind of fell in love, and I just said, not, of course, literally here, but this course was such a great course. It was challenging to where the first 20-ish miles, I was definitely flying, but I was still getting passed by a few people, and I didn't really like that because that meant I wasn't going fast enough. But when we got to the hills, yeah, that's when you saw the real climbers and the average folks kind of get separated out, and I'll admit, I want to go into that race course with an 11:30 gear as opposed to what I had was an 11:25. So I want to challenge Oceanside 70.3 with the correct gearing to go up that 12% climb for half a mile. So I want to challenge that again and do a better job of maintaining focus for the bike segment for this course. And I love the run. The run along the beach and the crowd fanfare was amazing at Oceanside 70.3, and I want to experience that so much so I'm going to be racing that race again. And it also falls in line with my 6-month build-up because that leads into my next race, which is Ironman Frankfurt. This has been 2 deferrals because of COVID, where they canceled the race twice, so this is hopefully, the third time is hopefully the charm. But I'll admit Ironman Frankfurt is more or less this is what I'm going to label now is my A++ race. So I'm definitely giving this an A for the category. But before that, I really wanted to mark Oceanside. I'm going to mark this as a B. Oceanside 70.3 is more or less is to figure out where I am and where I need to improve to go into Frankfurt at the best and peak condition that I can be in. And Frankfurt is one of those races where very well attended from what I hear, a ton of crowd support on the run. I think it's 2 or 3 loops of the run, but again, it's going through downtown Frankfurt, which I heard has been very nice. I heard the bike course is also relatively flat and very, very fast, which I always like fast and flat bike courses. The swim is a lake swim, and from what I've heard, that lake gets super warm, so it's wetsuit illegal. I will bring my sleeveless swim, but it's a very neutral swim. But there's kind of 2 loops around it, which I think is a very interesting swim, and it gets really warm from what I heard of. So we'll see what happens. Then we've got the New York City Triathlon. And this, again, is also like Frankfurt, 2 years of deferrals in a row. And hopefully I actually get to, I don't know. This is not going to be a key race for me. I'm going to say that right now. This is a D race. This especially because I'm still going to kind of be recovering from Ironman Frankfurt. And I've heard the Hudson River is not necessarily a very clean river to go and swim in. So, again, this is more for, it's a historic triathlon in the sense of that they've been doing it for a while and usually attracts a lot of big names, but we'll see. Last year they canceled the swim at the last minute and they just made it a duathlon essentially, which I don't know. We'll see. I'd prefer to have a swim, but I don't know about that Hudson River quality. We'll kind of see, and pray fingers I don't get anything wrong. But that leads to the next race, which is USAT National Championships. Back in Milwaukee, I really like the race venue here. This, for me, is not a key race. I just had a lot of fun doing it. It's fast, it's flat, and it's a gauge to see where I'm at as part of the ramp up to what you will see here, 70.3 Worlds. Hint, hint, 70.3 Worlds is going to be my biggest race for the year. But before getting there, I've got Washington 70.3 or Atlantic City 70.3. Somewhere around this middle September range, I really want to fit in a 70.3 to see where I need to improve on before going into the World Championships. Either one of these two races is kind of on the fence for me right now. I have not signed up for either of them, so just as a heads up, these are both going to either be, I'm going to write a big B here. Both of these are what I would consider B races. Again, that's more or less to figure out where I'm at and what I need to work on going into Worlds. Then, yes, you see the Chicago Marathon again. I'm trying to see if I could get in by the lottery for 2022 and then take my 2020 deferral to 2023 so that I can run the Chicago Marathon in 2023, hopefully as the 5th time, which would then allow me to run it, make me run as a legacy runner, which means I can run the Chicago Marathon pretty much every single year from there on out. It becomes almost a yearly tradition. How about that? And because that's the case, this is a just finish it race if I get into the lottery. If I don't get in by the lottery, no big deal. Then that allows me to go and train for 70.3 Worlds, which is my biggest race of the year. It's a world championship race. Who doesn't want to perform well at a championship race? I mean, I'm there for the experience because I know this is not in New Zealand, and they moved it to St. George, which has me a little bit pissed. But hey, it's a world championships course. The best people are going to be there. Why not race with the best? So that now leads into the goals. And I'm going to keep these goals relatively simple here. And I'm going to start with my first goal. My biggest goal for 2021 from a racing standpoint is going to stem from Ironman Frankfurt. And that is to go sub 10 hours. Yes. I am going to be aggressive and going to train to attempt to go sub 10 hours at Ironman Frankfurt. Notice, I did not say to qualify for Kona. The reason for that is Frankfurt has way too many fast people in it. This is one of those races to where, I mean, you're going to absolutely get the best age groupers from Europe, which, by the way, European age groupers are freaking ridiculously fast. Like, some of these age groupers should really be pros. No joke. You're going to have a ton of people go sub 10. I also want to be sub 10 just because, well, hey, that's just from a performance standpoint. That means I need to go sub 5 hours on the bike, which I know I can do. I need to go sub 4 hour marathon run, which I know I can do. Even when I am absolutely suffering in the Chicago Marathon this year proved to me I can absolutely suffer and have a lot of things go wrong and still run 3.5 hours for a marathon. So I know I can run a sub 4 marathon. Now, granted, this is after, of course, 112 miles on the bike and a 2.4 mile swim. I get it, but I think it's possible, given the aerobic condition that I have, right? Because in my previous video where I talk about, actually, you know what? I can even flip it. So in my previous video, I talk about aerobic fitness was a plus, right? I'm going to carry that in and carry those lessons and take that into Ironman Frankfurt here, right? So that to me is going to be critical for me to go sub 4 hours in a marathon run after all that swim and bike and transitions too, which means for the swim, I need to be roughly about 1 hour for the swim. But we'll see what happens, right? It's not critical for me to go sub 1 hour in the swim, but a sub 1 hour swim will be very helpful. But again, I'm not expecting it because swimming sub 1 hours is relatively tough. In a lake swim, that is wetsuit illegal, most likely. So we will see. But sub 10 hours for an Ironman distance race. Now, what does that translate to a 70.3? I think this is roughly about 4 hours and 37 minutes. Ish. And this means, and this is roughly like a 2 hour 15 bike, a 1.5 hour, a 1.5 hour run, and a half marathon run, and a 27-minute swim, which I'm at 28.5 minutes. I could push it to 27.5 minutes, so even down to 27 minutes if I really tried. But it's not critical for me to go 27.5 minutes for the swim. And this, of course, is to taking consideration of transition times. So, again, this is probably where I need to be if I want to try to go sub 10 hours in terms of the Ironman. So those are two very simple time goals, but I think are very achievable, but are challenging too. So that's what I'm thinking right now. And these might change a little bit over the next couple of weeks because I'm still trying to figure out how to dial in to the very precise numbers because I'm an engineer. I love my numbers. So then the next thing, and this goes into the coaching side. So I am in the works right now to get USAT level 1 and level 2 coaching. And this is very important for me because one, it's I need to have the required classes to be a USAT sanctioned and official coach. But also I think from a development level, I think just from learning from what both the level 1 and the 2 has, I think can really help for me to better understand more about what it takes to coach an endurance sport. And in addition, of course, to level 1 and level 2 coaching, there's also the Ironman coaching. And getting into Ironman University. And that's, of course, as part of the Ironman brand coaching. And I won't talk all about that here because Ironman has a bunch of information on their website. But basically, there's additional classes to the Ironman level that I'll need to take after I get the USAT certification. So that's the coaching side of the house. Now, what about other performances? And another thing that's going to translate to both of these, really, is the goal of nutritional intake. So something I have struggled with is to make sure that I can take in different types of nutrition aside from gels and even a few light bars. I need to diversify my portfolio a little bit and maybe start utilizing some of the aid stations more to get some carbohydrates or some fats or just some calories. And I need to practice with what is on the course and take that nutrition on and take advantage of it because it reduces the amount of weight that I need to have on my bike so that when I'm in the aero position, and I could just go from my mental box of whatever nutrition is out there, or to quickly grab the bar if I need to grab an extra 150 to 200 calories. Especially going to be important for going into Ironman Frankfurt, where nutrition is going to absolutely be key, especially if I am unlucky, to which Frankfurt becomes one of those races like it was 4 years ago, when it was 95 degrees Fahrenheit or 36 degrees centigrade and absolutely humid and miserable. So nutrition is going to be muy important to do in the scheme of triathlon training. And so I need to get used to intaking more nutrition than I think I need, because I'd rather be topped out going into a run. And I learned that from Oceanside 70.3 this year, where I've been underfueling this entire year in 2021 in these races. So how can I do a better job of that? this is going to be key in training, because I didn't do it all that great in training, where I stuck with once every 40 minutes. This needs to be down to once every 30, if not 25 to 20 minutes even, depending on the speed that I'm going. So absolutely critical here, right? And one last bonus one. Can I get into a relationship? I know I'm going to keep harping on this. But again, I need to make sure that I have critical balance with my out of triathlon as well as in triathlon. I don't just want to only be known as being a triathlete. I'm more than that. I'm also a human being too. I'm not just a machine that's out there to just go and perform. After all, I freaking have to pay to do these races. I mean, this isn't something where I'm being paid to go and do all these races. This is all out of pocket right here. Even though I am coaching, which can help with some of this, like we coach because we love the sport. It's not that we coach that we only make money. Most coaches out there have another full-time job, and me as well. I'm included in that bucket as well. So, but as I mentioned in my previous video, I mean, I want a heart here. Like, I want to have that balance. And that balance, I don't want it to be crossed out. I want it to be full, right? So that's going to be something very important to me. And something I'm going to want to put a priority and a focus on. Regardless of all what happens in these races here, right? All these races, all these goals, like, this to me is a priority. And I've got to put some priority in making time for a social life. Because in triathlon training here, you could get into 16, 18, 20 hours of training a week, especially if I want to shoot for a 4-hour 37 half Ironman race. I think I could do it smartly without having to put in that many hours, which I'll talk about as we get into the off-season videos and such. But those are my thoughts right now in terms of where my mind is at for 2022 races and goals. So if you like any of these content, or if you like this video, I shouldn't say content, it's contents. But if you like the contents of this video, then go and hit that subscribe button for me and hit the bell notification if you haven't already for future videos that I post. And of course, leave a comment down below. I'd love to know what your thoughts are, what your plans are for 2022, what your goals are, what your off-triathlon goals are, if you want to share them, of course. And until then, I will see you in the next video.